There's no comparison. The number of people that we've seen here this year is significantly higher as opposed to when I was here last year. The energy of the individuals, the enthusiasm about the Caribbean, and just the participation of tour operators and travel agents that have come to our area really wanting to know more about the Caribbean. So I've been excited and enthused about the energy this year.
So essentially what we're seeing is more visibility for us because there's a lot more happening.
Well, I think that it speaks well of the region. I think that it speaks well of people feeling confidence about the region, and so that's been fantastic. Of course, we still have challenges, and we'll talk about a few of those, but I think that in general, the Caribbean is still a highly desirable place for the UK market.
As the chairman of the CTO, you're also commissioner of tourism for the USVI, and so you've been doing a lot of CTO work, I noticed, so quite a few meetings that you've attended. We talked the other day about a meeting that you had with the WTO and with the Seychelles, but there have been a whole lot more, haven't there been?
Oh yes, we've had a lot of opportunity to really put the issues that are very pertinent to the region as a whole before a lot of different stakeholders. Yesterday we spoke at the UNWTO, the session, and we really talked about the aviation needs for the region. What are the things that we can do together? I mean, we talked of course about taxation and the ever persistent issues with the APD, but we also talked about visas. We talked about the ease of travel in the region, and we talked about it from the perspective of the guest experience. How do we facilitate the best guest experience to our region? So we were really able to have an active participation in that dialogue yesterday.
And certainly you also had a chance to sit with Treasury about the APD. How did that go?
Well, I was there last year. I will tell you that we were encouraged because we had some dialogue. It's obvious that they had done some reading on the issue, that they actually threw out a few concepts this year, which we are going to actively follow up. I think that this is an issue that we cannot let go. It's too critical for for our region. Many of our destinations are experiencing double-digit drops out of the UK market, and this tax is just oppressive and it's just unfair, and that at the end of the day what we need is to be able to be competitive. We understand the right of the UK government to impose taxes. We understand the issue of making sure that it doesn't have an adverse effect on the UK taxpayers, but what we're asking for, we believe, is reasonable. What we're asking is to be competitively banded, and we think that that's a reasonable request, especially with APD about to increase in 2014, which would become even more onerous to the region.
I was speaking with Antigua's Minister of Tourism, who also attended that meeting with the Treasury, and he suggested, well, at least there were some answers this time that didn't exist prior to that he said, we spoke, they listened. Now we spoke and they were able to speak back.
Absolutely.
How much, if any, encouragement comes out of that feedback from them?
Well, I just felt that as compared to last year when we spoke to them, and it was a polite meeting, and they listened to our concerns, and we said a polite goodbye, and there was no follow-up. I felt that there was an opportunity, and that's what really is important. There is the opportunity for real dialogue on the issue. They put a few things on the table which we need to vet totally, but they also gave us the opportunity to come back to them with the newer figures that we have in terms of the economic impact. I should say the negative economic impact on the region, and I think that was important. They were very open to the dialogue, but they also were open for the dialogue to continue, which I think is extremely important and is a vast difference from when we met last year.
The people watching in the Caribbean will probably watch this and say, we've been through this again and again. How much longer? Are we just not really going in circles here?
Oh, and I would agree. I mean, Minister McGinley clearly pointed out that he's been dealing with this since he was chairman in 2009. So it's been an ongoing issue for the region. But it's such a critical issue that we have to keep approaching it. We're approaching it from the standpoint of visiting the Treasury, but we're also looking at what are the other strategic things that the CTO may have to engage in terms of opening up the dialogue, maybe stronger with the diaspora on this matter.
Is there any hope at all of any type of resolution to this APD issue?
You know, I am an optimistic person, so I always believe that as long as people continue to have an open dialogue, that there is an opportunity. What I will say is that it's been a long-standing issue. It's been more than 4 or 5 years now that we've been dealing with this. I think that we have to have a two-pronged strategic process on this. We certainly need to continue to speak with the UK government on this, but we also have to have an activated lobbying effort here in the UK, and the Caribbean diaspora is strong here, and we need them to help us speak out on this issue. You know, they are citizens of the UK, they are voters in the UK, and they can certainly help to make the voices clear, because at the end of the day, the UK and the Caribbean have very strong historical ties, but they also have family ties, and this situation has had an impact on just the diaspora being able to visit the Caribbean. In addition to the fact that we believe that this is hurting the UK as well, because they're selling less tours to the Caribbean. We've noted the decrease in airlift to the Caribbean. That can't be good for the UK either. So we believe that we need to show them the economic impact on the region, the negative economic impact on the region, but also the negative economic impact here in the UK as well.
We can't discuss taxes and aviation without discussing our own local taxes. And I know the argument's been made, well, the reasons are different. The fact is the traveler doesn't care, except if the fear is high and they can't afford to travel. So how do we deal with our own local tax situation from the CTO perspective?
Well, first of all, I want to make a differentiation. The APD initially started off as an energy tax, which it no longer is. It's a revenue generator, and we need to make that clear. It has nothing to do with the air development. It has nothing to do with energy. It's a revenue generator for the UK, and we respect and understand that. I think that in terms of overall taxes in the region, we need to be careful as a region, because we have to understand that the traveler only has a certain appetite that they can take for excessive taxation, but also the impact that it has on the overall cost of a vacation. And we have to be very careful and mind our intelligence on the matter, because there is a threshold where it just becomes too expensive. And we've seen that here in the UK, where it's just become too expensive to come to the region. We have to be careful on the other side that we ourselves are not doing the same thing, where the traveler cannot withstand or they don't have the appetite for the cost. And so we have to be it's a balance. We understand that that in many instances, these increased taxes are tied to infrastructure development. We understand the need to ensure that our infrastructure is such that we can continue to facilitate the needs of the traveler, but it is a very delicate balance, and we have to be aware of it.
Of course, WTM was not only about taxes for you, it's been an awful lot, as we said. You've been speaking on panels, you've been doing a whole lot more, haven't you?
Well, yes, certainly the APD has been an issue that we've discussed, but really growing the market to the region, looking at where the new opportunities are. And the one great thing about World Travel Mart is the world is here. So we certainly are looking at the UK market, but there were plenty of opportunities to look at emerging markets, to look at other opportunities. We heard clearly that the African continent is about to explode. There's new money there. There's new appetite for travel. There's a desire to go beyond Africa and Europe and looking at the Caribbean, and we're well poised for that travel. We, certainly Russia and India, they've had dialogue. We've even had some discussion with Emirates that has an interest now. They're looking to fly more into the U.S. and what are the opportunities for the Caribbean. So the great thing is we certainly are looking at the UK market as we're here at World Travel Mart, but we're also looking for what are the new opportunities for the Caribbean, because ultimately it's about growing our tourism product.
With all this CTO stuff that you've been doing, have you had any opportunities to do any USVI stuff?
Yes, definitely. The Scandinavian market is an extremely important market for the USVI. In fact, we had a really great dialogue regarding Air France and KLM and connections through St. Martin, and some opportunities with Liat, and looking at how we can enhance our business from a core market for me. Denmark is my largest international market, and so we were able to have some discussions with some tour operators, with the airline connectivity. So yes, I've been able to make sure that we certainly are looking at a key market for the Virgin Islands while I'm here. But the truth is the UK has opportunity for us. We are very close neighbors geographically to the British Virgin Islands, and while they are this market's very familiar with the British Virgin Islands, St. Thomas is a key gateway to the British Virgin Islands. So we took the opportunity to have some dialogue. A few days on the beginning or a few days on the end, we recognize that there's some synergy there. The sailing is great between both destinations. So I think that overall there's a good reason for the USVI to be looking at the UK market.
Clear example of collaboration and cooperation, even if the BVI themselves aren't here.
Well, it certainly speaks definitely for the fact that people are looking at multiple destination travel, and if you've taken a long haul vacation, you'd like to see several destinations, and geographically some just work well together, and the BVI and the USVI are a clear example of that type of collaboration that can happen.